in London, Exist Media, me, Steph Fernandez, sat with Donisha Prendergast, who happens to be the granddaughter of Bob and Rita Marley. She's here in London having the screening of her film, and I'm here to discuss more about that, herself, her journey, and other things she has in her future plans. So let's go and find out what she has to say. So welcome to Cold London.
Good, thanks, sister. Trying to keep warm.
I know that feeling, check my layers.
Yeah.
So you had this first showing of your film last night in London. You're here for a few days. So the film, Rasta, A Soul's Journey. Tell us, what is it about?
Well, Rasta, A Soul's Journey sees me traveling around the world to 8 countries to uncover the roots and the evolution of Rastafari in these different places, how it exists today versus where it's coming from. And it's also about my spiritual growth as I encounter certain truths, certain realities, and even learning more about my grandfather along the way.
So how did the idea come about? What was the need to do something like this?
Well, the impetus for this movement, the inspiration came from Patricia Scarlett, who is a Jamaican-born, Canadian-raised sister. She wanted to show Rastafari from a global perspective. She met my grandfather when she was about 12, 13 years old at one of his concerts, and she just remembers the feeling that she got at that age. And now in her older years, she wanted to share that feeling with the world, but not just from a limited perspective, like I say, from a global point of view.
So, again, a lot of us have ideas of what we think Rastafari, what Rastafarianism is, the Rasta movement, the whole, most people will probably say it's a religion, but you were clear to say that it wasn't that in your film. How did you come across that point? Because did you not have that ideology, and then did it change you in your journey of this film?
I mean, from growing up, I always understood that Rastafari wasn't necessarily a religion. People misconceive it as a religion because of our reverence, of our respect, of our glorification of Haile Selassie I. However, Rastafari cuts across all religions, because you have Jewish Rastas, you have Buddhist Rastas, you have Muslim Rastas, you know? So Rastafari is a culture, it's a way of life, it's how you deal with people, how you treat your body, how you treat the world, how you deal with spirituality. These are the things that are Rasta, and at the base of that is the African experience.
Certain things, there were so many aspects to the film and moments that stood out for me. It was emotionally overwhelming, it was an enlightenment, we felt as though we went on that journey with you. That was the feeling we came away with. And you were 2 particular places that stood out. For me, Pinnacle in Jamaica, and I'll ask you about these places specifically and what they meant to you, and Shashamane in Ethiopia. As I kind of understood it, it seemed to be that the spiritual home of Rastafarianism. Am I correct in saying that? What was your feeling, your emotion of being there, and what did it mean to you?
It meant a lot to me to be able to physically be in that space, because it's somewhere that you always hear about when you're growing up. You know, Shashamane is like a dreamland somewhere far away, and to actually be there, it was amazing, but at the same time it was about confronting what's real and what's not real, because a lot of people have a lot of very romantic ideas about Shashamane being the mecca of Rastafari. However, since the first Rastas went there in the 60s and the 70s, not many more young people have come to plant seeds, so there is still a lot of barren land. But the reality is there, that His Majesty did allocate this land for us, that people have come back to inherit it. So there is still space to grow. But I will not sit here and tell you lies that it is a paradise. What I will tell you is that it is a space for us to cultivate and make into a paradise.
And was that the whole process of having that land available, was us to come back to Africa, input, build it up? Was that the whole point of it?
That's the whole point of it. And also His Majesty wanted to show us that we, as children of Africa lost in the West, we have a home, we have a father, we have a mother, we have a place to call our own, which is why He gave us that land.
So this kind of links into a lot of the teachers that most people would have heard regarding Marcus Garvey, the Back to Africa movement, and all of that. It all fits in.
It's all one journey. You know, when Marcus Garvey came around in the late 1800s, early 1900s, his call for us to go back to Africa never died. Even when he started to lose popularity, it never died. It just shifted from the UNIA to manifest into the movement of Rastafari. You know, so even though Marcus Garvey and His Majesty were two different leaders, they were both on the same mission.
I got you. So, Pinnacle, because again, all these things just had so many connections, because, as I said, from our learning, our understanding, or the information we either got from our community or from school, which is very little, which is another reason why this needs to be shown in schools and in community levels and intergenerational. Regarding that, what the film, I think, kind of, what I gathered from it was that whole, it was like breaking down so many misconceptions that we have about our identity and our connections to other people, when in fact we're actually kind of connected in so many different levels, and we tend to focus too much and too many on the differences rather than similarities. Because I think something that came across strongly, again, from what your grandfather used to preach regarding love, peace and unity, and then people think, okay, that's what Rastafarianism is all about. But again, it's on a human scale, isn't it?
Absolutely on a human scale, but even greater than a human scale, it's on a spiritual scale, because that is why it can relate to people of all different religions, of all different cultures, of all different age groups, of all different life circumstances, because of the spirit that travels with Rastafari. You know, it just shows us that we are all bits and pieces of the same whole, because people always say the world is small. That's a crazy thing to say, because this world is not small, but energy is powerful. And so even all of us who are in this room right now, it's the energies that have brought us together, that have aligned to make things right, you know? So Rastafari now, as a spirit, from my perspective, has been moving from Africa from a longer time. It just manifested in Jamaica in the 1930s. That rebel spirit that want to be free, that want to be able to communicate with anybody on any level. That is moving from long time, you know? So, yeah.
Goes way back, goes beyond. Connecting the dots.
Yeah.
And connecting the dots, Pinnacle. This is a place I never heard of. Mm-hmm. Tell me about Pinnacle.
Well, before this documentary, I had never really heard about Pinnacle either. And that is actually very embarrassing to say.
Why so?
Because growing up in the Marley family, and people look on you and they assume that you know the most about Rasta, because your grandfather is Bob Marley. You know, but that's not true. We are all on the same level. We're all being miseducated, undereducated. And this documentary enabled me to see these things. So when I went to Pinnacle and learned the story about Leonard Howell, who is the first Rasta, the first man to identify Rastafari in Jamaica. Like I said, I was embarrassed to know that I didn't know about this story before. But then it's reality, because ego and marketing often leaves many of our leaders unknown. So even look at my grandfather. My grandfather is the most popular Rasta man in the world. But that shouldn't necessarily be so. Because yeah, he was a Rasta man, but there were people who are more Rasta than him. But because they don't have the commercial saleability, you won't really know them. You know?
Do you think that's part of, I don't want to use this words, and correct me if I'm using the wrong word, is that part of the sadness to your grandfather's legacy?
Is that the part of the sadness to my grandfather's legacy?
That people didn't really truly understand through the commerciality of his music. I think
that is a fair thing to say. And that is one of the things that I'm trying to counter right now with this documentary and with what I've decided to do with my life, which is to travel, to share, to enlighten beyond this celebrity thing. Because it's so unnecessary. Like Bob Marley was a country boy, and after him was a country boy and was a ghetto boy, and after him was a ghetto boy and was a dirty Rasta man. You know what I mean? So let's not forget those things. Yeah, he's cool now, but you know, let's still keep the root in focus so we can know who we are at all times.
I hear you on that one. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So you were born after your grandfather died.
Yeah.
How was it growing up? Because I'm going to talk about you. How was it growing up, hearing about this person, this enigma, this icon that you never really met? How was it for you?
There are a lot of different dimensions to my relationship with my grandfather, because just like you said, he was kind of an enigma. He was a world celebrity, and as a child growing up, that's what you see, that's what you come to understand. But through this documentary, I was able to understand that thing that inspired my grandfather, the reality about Rastafari. I was able to have an objective approach to understanding certain things about him that the media wouldn't allow me to. Even myself, I'm a Rasta woman. But what makes me Rasta? The dreads on my head, the fact that I have a Lion of Judah ring or Africa ring on, the fact that my grandfather is Bob Marley, it's not enough. I needed to understand more about Rasta, what is real and what is not, you know. So my grandfather, he reveals himself to me more and more every day, even in these places.
How so?
I mean, you hear his music on the radio. Like, for instance, I have a story that I always tell about the UK. When I was here 2 years ago doing interviews for the documentary, I interviewed Darcus Howe. And Darcus is quite a character.
Yes, he is.
You know? And during the interview, he asked me, he said, do you miss him?
You cried at that point. That was a poignant moment.
Because no one had ever asked me that question before, and I had never thought about it. You know, but when I did stop to think about it, it was like, wow, I do miss him a lot. So after the interview with Darcus Howe, I left with a lot of things on my mind. You know, I left feeling very heavy, because this was coming to the end of our journey around the world. And there was just so much going on, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning when we packed up from Darcus, and I'm sitting at the back of the vehicle, and everybody's kind of tired and going to sleep, and I was just, tears were just flowing, you know. And out of the blue, you hear on the radio, Jolly children, yeah, Jolly. And I was just like, okay, Grandpa, I hear you. And that's, you know, it healed a little part of me. It's like he was saying, Jolly, even if I'm not physically here, you don't need to miss me, because I'm everywhere you are. So, yeah, he reveals himself to me every now and again.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. So, regarding the film and your personal journey, where are you going to be going to next, Donisha, after London?
Well, after London, I head to upstate New York, to Buffalo, to do a few performances, because I also do spoken word. And then I head to Manhattan to do an audio recording of a Peter Tosh book. So,
again, kindred spirit. I started off in the arts game as a poet.
Yeah.
I've kind of retired because I wanted to bring other poets forward. So, your poetry, tell us a little bit about your poetry. What's the vein of it?
Like I said, whatever comes, you know. I realize in these days I'm not writing so much love poems anymore. My idea of love has changed.
How so?
It's not just a romantic love. No, it's a universal kind of love, you know. So, yeah, my poetry is very revolutionary too, with this expression. Because, you know, people tell you, I hear people say all the time, Donisha, you have to be careful what you say, you know. You have to be careful what you say, but what if it's the truth?
I say speak it.
I say speak it too. My grandfather said the truth is an offense, but not a sin. You know? So, yeah, whatever comes. I don't say I'm going to write about this and then write about this. It's just whatever comes.
So do you write and publish, or do you write for performance, or both?
I just write, you know, and if there is a performance where I feel like now is the time to spread the message, I do it. But I'm writing for publishing next year.
Okay, so we've got a book to look forward to.
Definitely
and
a book to look forward to.
This will be your first book?
It will be my first book.
Wow.
Yes.
and the Peter Tosh connection?
Well, the Peter Tosh connection, we've been talking for about 2 years about recording this audiobook. And it's interesting because I didn't really know much about Peter Tosh before doing this. It's so amazing how caught up I have been in my grandfather and nothing else around him. You know, and I'm not the only one. There are many people who are the same way. You know, so this will give me an opportunity to learn about Peter Tosh and about my grandfather's story from someone else's perspective. You know what I mean?
And you get a chance to share it with the world as well.
I get a chance to share it with the world. How awesome is that?
We can't wait for that. So when can we look forward to the book dropping and the audiobook as well with Peter Tosh?
I figure the audiobook will be ready next year sometime. I don't really know what the publisher's plan is. However, my book will definitely be ready by, I'm going to give myself a year. My birthday is December the 29th. So by December 29th, 2013, look out for a book from Donisha. I don't know what the title is yet. I don't know what it's going to be about. But it's coming.
It's just going to be.
It's just going to be. It has to be.
Nice. So, regarding the film and your personal journey, what next?
Everything, anything, whatever it is that the spirits need to manifest within this time, if they find me to be the right vehicle, I'm prepared. And I'm preparing myself. I've been blessed with a lot of different talents. I think the greatest talent that I've been blessed with is communication. And I love to love. And I think that's the best place to start if you want to change the world.
I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that. I'm feeling that. One quick final question. What do you hope for people to get from your film? What is the message?
Today is a great day to start on your journey, if you haven't started already. You don't have to be Rasta. It can be something else. But let's start to learn more about us. Start on your journey.
Bless you. Donisha, thank you so much for sharing your time,
No
your
problem.
energy, positivity, and I think that young people can learn so much from the message you're saying. You're within that age category, and I really believe that you've got something to say, and continue saying it, spreading it.
Give thanks, my sister. I just hope for more clarity and more inspiration and good health, you know, for many years.
Bless you.
With that.
Thank you, sister.
I do hugs though.
I do. Yes. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Bless you.
Anytime.